No mai haere mai. Welcome to 3 News. We are living in very difficult times. That's how Defence Minister Judith Collins has described the collective feeling in the room at a security summit held in Singapore at the weekend. She watched as US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth declared that China is a threat, saying it's credibly preparing to potentially use military force in the Indo-Pacific. Meanwhile, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has pushed the UK to arm up big time with a plan to invest billions into new warheads and nuclear-powered submarines. Political correspondent Zane Small reports.
British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer on board a warship in Glasgow to announce a new direction for the defence of the United Kingdom.
We are moving to warfighting readiness as the central purpose of our armed forces.
The UK's Strategic Defence Review sets out a plan to spend billions on new missile defences, 6 new munitions factories, 7,000 long-range missiles and more nuclear-powered submarines, a direct response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
A new era in the threats that we face demands a new era for defence and security.
On the other side of the world, the same theme was discussed at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore at the weekend, where US Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth warned against China's growing regional influence.
It has to be clear to all that Beijing is credibly preparing to potentially use military force to alter the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. We know, it's public, that Xi has ordered his military to be capable of invading Taiwan by 2027.
China didn't send a high-ranking official to the event, but the country's foreign ministry described Hegseth's remarks as filled with provocations and intended to sow division.
We are watching very closely China's destabilizing actions.
Defence Minister Judith Collins was also watching closely.
People in that room under no illusions that we are living in very difficult times.
And so the world is arming up, including us. The government's defence plan last month outlined $9 billion in new spending over 4 years for a combat-capable defence force. It came just months after Chinese warships fired live rounds in the Tasman Sea, with little notice.
People were pretty impressed that we're doubling our defence budget.
The United States is spending up too, on a much larger scale. Donald Trump's administration has proposed a Golden Dome defence system,
where satellites blast missiles from the sky.
Once fully constructed, the Golden Dome will be capable of intercepting missiles even if they are launched from other sides of the world and even if they are launched from space.
Judith Collins endorsed the idea during a panel discussion.
I don't see it as an attack mechanism. It's a defence mechanism, and if people didn't feel they needed to defend themselves, they wouldn't waste the money on it.
Back on home soil, she reflected on a conversation at the summit that stuck with her.
When even New Zealand gets that it's a really difficult time, clearly it really is.
The opposition agrees.
Well, it's a very volatile global world at the moment.
And the world is responding by preparing for conflict.
And Zane, this tough talk comes at a critical time for the Prime Minister.
Yeah, it does, because the Prime Minister is expected to visit China in the near future, and the developments in Singapore illustrate just how difficult it is for New Zealand to have that relationship with both China and the United States, especially when Pete Hegseth specifically called out countries that seek both economic cooperation with China and defence cooperation with the US. He acknowledged it's a geographic necessity for many nations, but he said, beware of the leverage that China seeks with that entanglement. China, of course, rejects that and says the US is touting a Cold War mentality.
OK, Zane, thank you.